Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. A very big welcome to week 5 of term 1, the end of the week being our halfway mark for this term. Today our main focus is celebrating the academic achievements and excellence of the younger members of our community who were receiving gold, silver or bronze medals for semester 2 of last year. As we gather on these lands and waterways that we call Nudgee, in the language of the First Nations peoples of these areas, which they call Numidji, we acknowledge their hospitality and commit to walking in justice and reconciliation with them. So let us begin with prayer.
Good morning, parents, colleagues and students. As we continue through this period of Lent, I just thought I'd take the opportunity to remind you of our 3 commitments as members of a Catholic community. The first one being the idea of charity or giving to those that might be in need. The second one being the idea of sacrifice and giving something up yourself that you enjoy so that you get a deeper appreciation for it as the year continues. And the third one being prayer. This morning I'd like to talk just for a few moments about prayer in a really positive way. Last Friday, our mission and identity prefects kicked off the initiative of Lenten prayers, where for the final 10 minutes of second break last week, they invited students who would like to come along to the chapel and participate in a student-led liturgy. Gentlemen, the numbers absolutely blew me away. I'd explained to the M&I prefects, look gents, if there's 4 or 5 guys that come along, we'll take that as a win. Students are going to have to forego their lunch, forego the opportunity to run around and play or just to chat with their mates at the end of what might have been a long week. If we can get 4 or 5 students participating, it'll be a positive. Gentlemen, I'm really pleased to say that I would suggest somewhere between 40 to 50 students took the opportunity to come along for the final 10 minutes of lunch last week and simply sit in silence or to participate in prayer to hear about the scriptures of the day and how they can be better people. The great news is that we'll continue this tradition throughout the remainder of term 1. However, this week I'm acutely aware that with a very significant round of GPS sport and debating coming up, lunchtime may well have some cheering practice associated with it. So this Friday, the M&I prefects will be facilitating the prayer group in the last 10 minutes of morning tea. I would strongly encourage, and I'll remind people again through the notices and over the PA system on Friday, if you're someone that thinks that idea of just sitting, reflecting and considering what's important to you, your family, in your life, I warmly invite you to come along to Lenten prayers this Friday at first break. But in line with that, the prayer I have for you this morning is around Lent and once again how prayer can bring us closer to our Lord by the way that we just sit and think. So I invite you please to join with me in making the sign of the cross. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, through Lent, lead us closer to you and closer to one another. Teach us the way of right relationship with our friends, our families, and those who struggle or feel forgotten. Help us to become a sign of faith and live Jesus in our hearts forever. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Gentlemen, my 3 culture of kindness examples for this week, and remember that idea of being a culture of kindness is very much you being a sign of faith, because that value of kindness and love that Jesus spoke to and demonstrated ideally comes across in how we live each day at Nudgee. I've got 3 examples this morning, and I'm thrilled to say they're all middle school students, because often some of our year 7, 8 and 9 lads might get tarnished with the brush of, maybe their choices aren't too great given their age they're at. But I was thrilled to find these 3 legitimate examples over the last week. First one is of a student in year 8 who took it upon himself to ensure that year 8 area, which I know all the students are thrilled to have, was left impeccably clean. So Isaac Alexander Timms grabbed a large dustbin, maybe his conversation was a little boring at the time, just went, you know what, there's things that need to be done here. Didn't want to make a big deal of it, literally grabbed the bin and walked around and picked up 30 to 40 bits of rubbish that his mates, crows or others had left there. Really simple gesture showing our call to be stewards of our environment. The second image I have was only taken yesterday evening. It's a group of year 7 students who at the end of the dining session that the Year 7s had enjoying their spaghetti bolognese, there was mince and pasta and all kinds of things left everywhere. Now these three boys, Charlie, Digby and James, went, "It's not my mess. I didn't do it. In fact, it may have even been some of the 9s, 10s, 11s from half an hour earlier, but we're going to get around and clean it." Wasn't a simple task, wasn't an enjoyable task. In fact, at one point, one of them, who I won't mention, may have even given a little, "Oh, I think I'm about to be sick." But nevertheless, those boys taking it upon themselves to clean up after someone else was that ultimate act, in my opinion, of kindness. And the final image I have here was taken last Thursday. This is an image of Rocky Heason sitting on the couch and young James Walker's sitting next to him. James had not worn a tie before. James has come for us as a boarder, and all the boarders had to be dressed up in their formal attire for last Thursday and was absolutely struggling with the concept of a tie. Rocky himself understandably found it difficult to try and do a tie on someone else when you're not quite facing the right direction. So essentially said to James, "Sit next to me, and I'll pretend as though I'm doing it for myself." Just a wonderful little act of boys taking off that mask of needing to be masculine and needing to be strong and right all the time, being vulnerable and letting one another help them. So for a Year 8 student to step up and do that for a newest member of our community is that perfect example of kindness. I have a real vision now for next week to ensure that I've got some primary school and some higher secondary school students out and about being a sign of faith. So I encourage you please to very much get involved with that initiative over the course of the next week, and I hope to see you all at our Lenten prayers on Friday at first break. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a lovely day, and I throw over to our learning department for today.
Good morning, everyone. Today we are here to celebrate our gold, silver and bronze academic award recipients who are currently in years 6, 7, 8 and 9. Students' results from semester 2 2025 are used to determine today's award winners. To be eligible for a bronze award, students must achieve an A in all but 3 subjects, a silver award, an A in all but 2 subjects, and finally, to receive a gold award, students have achieved an A in all but 1 subject. Could I now invite the college principal, Mr. Thompson, and Mrs. Scott to the stage. So it's my privilege to present the academic awards to our Year 5 and 6 students from last year. Please hold your applause until all awards have been presented. The bronze award recipients for Year 5 are Jimmy Bra, Elliot Cockburn, Cooper Davis, Lincoln Dennis, Raphael Fester, Henry Freeth, William Irvine, Oliver Marta, and Hudson Wright. Please congratulate our bronze medalists. The silver award recipients are Digby Booth, Ethan D. Francesco, Ned Gransbury, Hamish Miller, Josh Oddie, Louis Orr, Chase Page, and Jasper Wright. Please congratulate our silver medalists. The gold award recipients are Nikki Buumba, Gus Geyer, Harry Hobbs, Kobe Hoofer, Finbar McCaffrey, Vincent Moore, Sawyer Pugh, and Marcus War. Please congratulate our gold medalists. The Bronze Award recipients for Year 6 are Bruno Bengerno, Alfred Cover, Charlie Coverdale, Spencer Dollard, Hugo Glasson, Liam Keane, Leo Lee, Alessandro Marmotta, Kingston Massingale, Akira Nakagawa, Alfie Pybus, and Toby Wilson. Please congratulate our bronze medalists. The Silver Award recipients are Ethan Bradell, Teddy Denver-Feder, Angus Griggs, James Lee, and Jackson Overs. And please congratulate our silver medalists. The Gold Award recipients are Aidan Brennan, Carrie Clifford, Jack Cooper, Sanjot Dhaliwal, Angus Geeds, Kyan Galoom, Tate Hyde, Joshua Lenz. Can we please congratulate our first group of gold medalists? Also receiving a gold award are William Loban, Jack McAndrew, Jack O'Connor, Josh Pereira, Jack Shefferman, Tom Simpson, Louis Thomas, and Lachlan Warhurst. And can we please congratulate our final group of gold medalists? And I'd now like to welcome Miss Kathy Lamb, the Head of Faculty for Technology, to the stage. Thank you.
It is my privilege to present the academic awards to our Year 7 students from last year. The Bronze Award recipients are Harry Brown, Evan Burgess-Dean, Rayhan De Alwis, James Grehan, Tristan Holman-Lee, James Lamp, and Barnaby Peckham. Can we please congratulate our first group of bronze medalists? Also receiving a bronze award are Mason Pickering, Ritvik Ramesh, Henry Robinson, Amitaj Singh, William Stanford, and Jono Webb. Can we please congratulate our final group of bronze medalists? The Silver Award recipients are Ethan Arango Lizaralde, Hayden Brennan, James Brown, William Burgess, Saxon Crewcamp, Will Kerno, and Luke Cutmore. Can we please congratulate our first group of silver medalists? Also receiving a silver award are Ollie de Jong, Noah Graham, Hugo Heath, Edward McEwen, Rocky Rosenthal, Maximus Scott, and Samuel Wells. Can we please congratulate our final group of silver medalists? The Gold Award recipients are Fletcher Andrews, Edward Carroll, Oliver Clancy, Christopher Dullymore, Thomas Kennedy, Noah Lesh, Alec Livett, and Rory McCaffrey. Can we please congratulate our first group of gold medalists? Also receiving a gold award are Harrison Mullins, Freddie Orr, Luke Shamada Koskarala, Archie Spur, Hugh Swaffield, Parker Thompson, Ryan Thompson, and Jack Williams. Can we please congratulate our final group of gold medalists? I would now like to welcome Mr. David Fraser, Head of Faculty for Business, to the stage.
Good morning. It is my privilege to present the academic awards to our Year 8 students from last year. The Bronze Award recipients are Alex Brennan, Cooper Henderson, Lachlan Coral, Jude LaRosa, Mitchell Nelson, Cooper North, Mac Payne, Luke Seaton, Anch Soni, Cormac Thompson, and Cooper Tierney, who is absent today. Can we please congratulate our bronze medalists? The Silver Award recipients are Tyler Alexander Timms, Darcy Andrea, Sharan Baring, Harry Brandt, Isaac Brown, Jonathan Chappell, Caden Harwood, Hudson Heathcote, Jack Hobbs, and Max Holmes. Can we please congratulate our first group of silver medalists? Also receiving a silver award are Ethan Jalala, James Manning, who is absent today, Michael Maravecca, George Morgan, Evan Prasad, who is absent today, Hayden Rice, Finn Sargent, Toby Smith, Jack Strahorn, and Will Zillman. Can we please congratulate our final group of silver medalists? The gold award recipients are Trishawn Achari, Finn Andrews, Matthias Beckers, Leon Benjerno, Tom Carter, Marcus Zaran, Dahane Jewage, Sebastian Geinitz, David Grindle, and Fred Guppy. Can we please congratulate our first group of gold medalists? Well done, lads. Also receiving a gold award are Sam Hall, Mitchell Halpin, Eli Hodges, Vaughan Jenkinson, Stephen Minio, George Mitchell, Evan Monaghan, George Monfries, and Diesel Piper. Can we please congratulate a second group of gold medalists? Also receiving a gold award are Archer Killen, Charlie Smith, Max Stevenson, Jasper Telford Challoner, Jack Tiernan, Aidan Weaver, Daniel White, Jack Wilkins, and Xavier Whisker. Can we please congratulate our final group of gold medalists? Congratulations to all of our academic award winners for their courage, determination and commitment to their studies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fraser. And now from excellence to something far more mundane. Something that happens rarely in our community, thankfully, but when it does happen, we need to know exactly what to do when it does happen. And I'm talking about our evacuation procedures. I know, very mundane, but still. All the college buildings are fitted with alarm signals. With the exception of the Cleary building, those systems have two different sounds. The first is an alert sound, and we'll make that sound now. It's important to remember that when you hear that sound, you do nothing. That is the alert sound. That is to alert you that there might be a potential situation, but that it is being investigated, and it will be determined what the next action is. It is very important when you hear that monotone, flat, repetitious tone that you do nothing except stand by and await further instructions. If an evacuation is necessary, an alarm signal will be sounded, and this is what it sounds like.
Evacuate as directed. Evacuate as directed.
Thank you, Mr. Carmody. When you hear that sound, that is your signal to evacuate as per the instructions. And when you do so, you make your way calmly and efficiently, not running, not hastening, but just walking purposefully towards Wilkes Oval. And when you get there, you gather, depending on the nature of the evacuation. If it's an entire school evacuation, for instance during a drill, then you gather in your house groups. If on the way to Wilkes Oval you have determined that it is only your building, say it's only the Purton building, or it's only the Dewey building, then you gather in your class groups and you make sure that your teacher knows that you're there. Once you have arrived on Wilkes Oval, standing against the far fence where the house signs and the Year 12 mottos are painted on the fence, when you get over there, whether you are gathering in your house group or you are gathering in your class group, you sit down. The sitting down is important because it means that teachers have a clear line of sight back to the rest of the school so that we can see who else is joining us, and also that we're not putting ourselves at any further risk whilst we are over there waiting for whatever the risk or the danger is back in a building to be seen to. So for safety reasons we sit, but also for a good clear line of sight and for organisational reasons we sit on the ground and we wait for further instructions. Diagrams are in every building to show you the direction to head to and which of the staircases or doors is closest to your classroom or to wherever you are. All the fire escapes, all the stairwells and doors that will take you to the outside of the building are clearly lit with those escape signs. Obviously, it goes without saying that in any sort of emergency evacuation, you avoid using a lift. So as I've said, the designated meeting points are Wilkes Oval, gathering either in house groups for a whole school evacuation or in your class group if it's just the one building. The boarding students know that the after-hours evacuation point for them is the Mount Zion courts, and their boarding house signs are attached to the lampposts there so that they know exactly where to gather if they evacuate during the night. If, for instance, though, there was an evacuation signal triggered now, we wouldn't necessarily troop all the way up to Wilkes Oval. There is a third evacuation site, and if Mr. Carmody would put the map up, the larger map first, there is another evacuation site to the rear of this building, which we would move to quickly and efficiently, but without panic and without unnecessary speed. We would move there and we would gather in our house groups and wait for further instructions. Now, I know you all know where Wilkes Oval is and where Mount Zion courts are, but there's a slightly larger map, just so if there's any staff members or new students, or in fact any parents who may be here in an eventual evacuation, that you know exactly where to go. A word about the Cleary building. So if you're in the Larkin Student Centre, or if you're in the art department, the visual arts, or you're in the music department, what you will hear is not that electronic sound. You will hear the old-fashioned bell ringing, a continuous, ongoing, one-tone actual bell, a hammer on a metal bell. That is still the alarm system in the Cleary building. So be on the alert for that. If you hear that and you think that's not the usual sound, no, it's not in the Cleary building. It is that long, continuous, actual metal bell ringing. Then you make those same evacuation procedures. Obviously, there's only the one tone, so if you hear it, you go. You don't have to wait for the alert. That is an alarm. You follow exactly the same alarm procedures if you hear that bell ringing in the Cleary building. In the event of an actual evacuation, only the fire services personnel can deactivate the alarm. They come, they inspect the building, they tell us that it's safe to re-enter or not, God forbid. But once it is, they will tell us that it is safe to re-enter, and then you will depart Wilkes Oval under the instruction of your house deans once the CLT member in charge has told them that it is good to go. That's the process for an evacuation. In the coming weeks, either late this term or early next term, we will have an evacuation drill. You won't know it's coming, but you will know what it is when you hear the alarms sound. It will be a whole school evacuation, so we will all make our way to Wilkes Oval and gather in house groups. Once we have practiced that satisfactorily, I'll pop up again sometime next term and I'll explain the other emergency procedure we do, which is what is called a lockdown, where we all remain inside. But let's not confuse the two. First of all, we'll practice an evacuation with a drill, and then we can talk about the other one. So it is my great pleasure to welcome Mr. Thompson to the microphone.
Very warm welcome to our special guests, our family and carers who are here today. Thank you again for making the time this morning to come along and see your son being presented on stage. A warm welcome to my valued colleagues, and good morning to the gentlemen of Nudgee. Good morning, men. Good morning also to our Magee students who are up in Tierney Hall and all those who are joining us online. Today, gents, will be a shortened assembly. Last week we went a little bit over time, hence I wasn't able to speak, and that's quite often a good thing, can be. But I did and will this morning just go over a couple of things that I was to go over last week. But prior to getting to that, I just wanted to thank you all for a point that has been impressed upon you all, for the way that so many of you have supported so brilliantly your Nudgee brothers across term one to this point. Last week was our buy round. It came at a very well welcomed time in the week. It gave people a chance to catch breath, catch up on things that may have been put to one side, because I know there's many of you who have been going out every single Friday night to support our debaters, and being out at Churchie nearly 2 weeks ago was an absolute sight. So I thank you all for the way that you supported our debaters out there, and then backing up, watching our cricketers, our volleyballers. So it's all been great. It shows the wonderful spirit that we have here. So I encourage you, as we're nearly halfway through the term, to continue that as we move forward. I want to start this morning by sharing with you an email from a gentleman who lives at Viridian by the name of Brother Patrick White. Now, Brother White was a principal at an EREA school. So he was a long-term principal down at one of our EREA brother schools in Sydney, in Chatswood, called St Pius X. And he's lived at Viridian for a number of years. He's a wonderful man. Every time there's a visit, he always sends me an email and shares photos and everything. But I'll share with you the photo that's on the screen that will be on the screen as I read this email. Hi, Scott. One of these days, I would welcome a chat with you about just how good those boys from Nudgee College are. You have something there to be proud of. When I look back at my years in school, I can't remember my students who were so my students were in comparison to how balanced and respectful and how the older brother cared for the younger. We would love more visits from your boys. Kind regards, Brother Patrick White. So you can see there, gents, this is a regular occurrence. And this we could extrapolate out to all the service activities that we do have. It's great that you engage and it makes a difference. One of the things that Pope Francis was very big on was calling us to work with those on the margins, work with those people who don't make up the mainstream of our society. And quite often in many societies and communities around the world, the aged, those who are older, sometimes are a little bit forgotten. In some cultures around the world, they're revered and respected. And so it's great that we're able to actually reach out to the wonderful neighbours that we have there over at Viridian and show the level of care and compassion and respect that they're due. So I want to thank all the boys, not just those who go to Viridian regularly, but all of those boys who put their hand up for service activities, to do as we are called, to be a sign of faith, to reach out. And I encourage you, if you haven't done any of that, to do so across this year. Now, it's not just Mr. Waugh who can talk about culture of kindness. It's not his own little select area of expertise. And I want to share with you a beautiful photo that was sent to me. And it was taken by Miss Nichols in the stairwell of Dewey. Now, many of you may know, or many of you may not know, that I'm a bit of a bird nerd. I love birds. I love identifying different birds. I love seeing birds care for their young, and I do whatever I can to protect. And the magpies at my house would know that I do what I can to fatten them up as well by ensuring they're well fed. Miss Nardi sent me this. So she was just talking with Miss Nichols, as teachers often do, after a lesson in the stairwell of Dewey. And many of you boys have walked down the stairwells of Dewey, and at different times you may have seen a bird. On this particular day, this pigeon decided that Miss Nardi was the target, and he or she was going to land on Miss Nardi's shoulder and rest there. Who knows? The bird might have been lost, might not have been able to find its way out. Now, for most people, when a bird lands on their shoulder, especially in the wild, they might strike at it or scream or jump up and down, whatever it may be. But Miss Nardi here showed utter kindness to that bird. She very gently and carefully walked down the stairs to make sure she escorted that beautiful pigeon out into the open, and from there it flew away and got on with its day. So a wonderful gesture there, and thank you, Miss Nardi, for being so kind. I will finish up today, gents, because I have spoken quite a bit across our assemblies to this point. And we've had some wonderful assemblies. And as I did at the start, I want to acknowledge those who received academic awards today and last week. It's very important that we, as a community, show respect and acknowledge those people who are up here. And hopefully, I know house deans are very big on this. If you're sitting there and you didn't get one of those awards, that you're making that one of your goals across the next semester to try and achieve one of those bronze, silver or gold awards. So I wanted to take a moment today just to summarise some of the key messages that I have shared with you across the start of this year. So again, Mr. Carmody, you'll have to be pretty quick on the slides here. Now, one of the first messages, the most important messages, I've already spoken a little bit about it, but it's that one around serving others. And that's really what makes a difference. You will be a better you. We will be a better us if every single one of you considers more the well-being and the compassion and the empathy for others ahead of yourself. And I can assure you, gents, if you go through life doing that, that will be a better way to live your life. That will bring you genuine joy. So our community is built on everyday small actions. Seek ways to make the day of others better. Next slide, Mr. Carmody. I've said it over and over, and today's a great example of that learning comes first. You've heard me say it. Everything else that comes at Nudgee, and we've got so many opportunities, but all of those other opportunities are a privilege. Your main role here is a student, first and foremost. What you do from period 1 to 5 is paramount. You see there a beautiful photo on the left. That's Mr. Jack Ross. So many of you have heard of Ross Oval, obviously. Hopefully you've heard some of the stories of Mr. Jack Ross, who was involved in Nudgee College for nearly 70 years as a student and as a staff member. But that's the classroom that he had in 1956. And I think one of the beautiful things about that is the look on the boys' faces as they're being instructed and taught by Mr. Ross. We've also got a very different classroom that Mr. Ross, who passed away in 1973, probably would not recognise. It would be incredibly foreign to him to see technology, to see boys learning together. But understand, please, regardless of what the period of time at Nudgee is across our 135-year history, learning is paramount. Learning is first and foremost. Next slide. I shared with you a Latin phrase, decore desus addit avito. If you've ever been in Ryan Hall, you would have seen all of those beautiful boards with the gold embossed writing and all of those names. And many of you would walk in there and look up and aspire to be on one of those boards at some point in time. They are your 10,000 brothers. But the interpretation of that, remember, is add honour to what is already honourable. We are incredibly blessed with the tradition and honour that we have inherited. But your job, gents, is to make sure that you build, by being honourable, that you build on that honour that already exists. Next one, please, Mr. Carmody. This is around leadership. And one of the best books that I've read by a gentleman by the name of James Kerr. Thank you, sir. James Kerr. And he wrote this. And that's a beautiful message. One of the pillars of the All Black rugby team at the peak of their powers was that they look after, as leaders, they look after what they create. They clean up what they create. So sweep the sheds was a term that they use quite often. It's important as leaders that you are an example. It's not about the status that position carries. So your attitude, effort and behaviour are what set the tone as a leader. And the final one, and probably my favourite, and I've asked lots of boys as I've walked around the school, what is your starfish? What is that tiny little habit or behaviour that you're going to concentrate on, like that boy in the fable that I told you about, walking along the beach and making a difference to one starfish by throwing it back into the ocean? What is the one thing that you're going to make a difference every single day? And you've got to be very explicit about that, gents. You can't just hope that something's going to happen. You need to choose something that you need to get better at. Could be one subject, one habit, one goal, but you've got to start somewhere. Gents, have a wonderful week 5. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you around. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, parents, guests, staff and young men of Nudgee College. That brings us to the end of our assembly for this morning. Thank you for the way in which you've engaged this morning, and thank you for your recognition of the fantastic academic achievements of the young men who are up here on the stage for you. As we're in the middle part of this term, and as your assessment tasks for term 1 are rolling in and are starting to come up on your calendars, set yourselves some goals so that you can be up here on that stage for the first time, or perhaps receiving a silver award where you received a bronze award last year, or potentially a bronze. It's this middle part of the term where we really need to be recalibrating, refocusing, and switching back on to make sure that we're continuing that strong start we've had this year all the way through the middle part of the term and towards our upcoming Easter holidays. They might seem a way away at the moment, but they'll be on you before you know it, so it's really important that we're keeping that good momentum going now. As it is the end of the assembly, I would also like to thank our parents and guests for attending today and celebrating the achievements of the young men up here. I'd also like to provide you with the opportunity to depart out through the foyer before we begin our wrap-up and dismissal of the students. So thank you again for your attendance today. As we prepare for our notices of the upcoming weeks and our 3 cheers to finish off the assembly, I'd like to thank you all, gentlemen, once we're all sitting up and paying attention. Thank you. I'd like to thank you for the way in which you got down here nice and swiftly and efficiently and ready to start the assembly today. Thanks to your efficiency, we were able to get through quite a packed agenda of today's assembly really well, give everybody the time and space that they deserve up here to celebrate their achievements, and afford us some time to get to class without missing too much class time. So thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your efforts in that regard. Now, as we look to the week ahead, Year 7, you have your Year 7 camp kicking off tomorrow. Make sure you're here nice and early and on time to depart for that. My suggestion to you all in Year 7 as well. Thank you, gentlemen. You'll be out of here shortly. Year 7, make sure you are actually packing your bags yourselves this afternoon. Don't leave it to mum or dad or someone else to pack it for you. Make sure you're aware of your belongings that are in that bag so that when you arrive to camp, you're not searching through things and relying on others to look after you. Part of owning your responsibility there is making sure you're packing your belongings. Have that list in front of you and be ready to go for that. Bear Cave is also open tomorrow as well from 7:30 a.m. So make sure you're popping by, visiting there if you would like to. Moving to Friday, Borders, you have your evening on the green. GPS, we have our big debate against Brisbane Grammar. It'd be great to see as many there supporting and cheering on in Tierney Auditorium as possible. Make sure you're getting down and around that as well. Likewise with our swimming meet out at Chandler. Our tennis tournament kicks off at Caloundra, and our cattle show team is off to Bell, and Year 7 camp continues on the Friday there as well. We're also looking to have some cheering practice take place on Friday, so stay tuned for some comms from your captains regarding cheering practice for this Friday. Moving into Saturday, big round against Brisbane Grammar continues with volleyball and cricket. Tennis tournament continues, as does the cattle show. Formation on Friday. I won't read these to you. You can read the relevant area that applies to you and your year level, what you need to be doing. The one that I will highlight is for Year 8. Make sure you're heading to CBCC and bringing your device there. I believe that should be Year 9. That's a typo there. So Year 9, that's you in the middle there for your NAPLAN prep. Looking forward into Week 6. What you'll hear in Week 6 is on behalf of the Fogarty prefects, you'll get some comms next week about the World's Greatest Shave. We're going to start our drive around the World's Greatest Shave and promoting sign-ups and involvement in the World's Greatest Shave, so stay tuned for some information around that. We'll also get some messaging in around our assembly. Thank you, gentlemen. I remind you what I talked about earlier in terms of switching back on. This is an example of where we need to do that. Much better, thank you. Next week, Nudgee Esports Inter-School competition is on. Duggan and Fogarty, you have your house masses. GPS debating continues against State High, and our swimming championships are out at Chandler, so we'll have some events around that as well in Week 6. Thank you, gentlemen. I'd now like to hand over to Ollie Creswell, who's going to lead us in 3 cheers.
Righto, boys. 3 cheers for academic awards. Good job, fellas.
Thank you, Ollie. We're going to head straight off to class now, so please wait for me to dismiss you house by house. Shaw, you can leave through the trackside doors. And Tierney, you can leave through the foyer. Thank you. At the same time, Barrett, you can start leaving through the trackside doors. Duggan through the foyer.